on the Keep It Real with Dr. Lil. I know it's been a minute, everybody. Y'all know I've been in school, and I feel like school's a priority, and we're at the end of the semester, and you know how things go with that. But I'm glad to be here. I'm very thankful. And I have a guest here tonight. Her name is Tasha. Now we're gonna see part of her because she's in the dark right now. They don't have any light, but it's all good. We're going to do other interviews. We're going to start with this tonight. And we had her on today because her story is similar to my story. We're dealing tonight with the judicial system or the clergy. So tonight we're going to be talking about putting on the black robes of a judge, and how we, you and I, believe and want to believe and trying to walk in that this is the law that they're doing. What they're going to do is the law, and it's going to protect you. So at the end of the day, we have some things that some of us have been through that have been what you call catastrophic. We have been, um, I won't say abused, but that's a word. It's in the category of or the area of that. Definitely been weighed down, but they have used the system to violate us. That's what I want to use, that word, violation. So tonight, Tasha's going to talk a little bit off and on. She's not going to give everybody all, she's not going to go through all the details, everybody. But she's helped another person in our community, another minority woman who has been experiencing some things, and we got to fix this system. Because I'm telling you, it's starting to look really bad for Americans to be talking like this in some sort of land of the free. It don't feel so free and it don't feel so good. What I'm trying to do now is go onto my YouTube page. Any other time I can get on here real quick, but then can't, because I always try to make sure I can hear everything is being heard, because you know how this is. So let me look and check, and then we're gonna jump right into everything. I'm also waiting to see who's coming on. Everybody come on in, come on down, and let's talk about what we need to talk about, putting on the black robes of the judge. What does that mean? Does it make a difference in uh, people's lives? Is things happening that shouldn't be happening? So some of the things that we see in America as we look at who the court is really for. That's what I'm saying, everybody. And now I know why some people didn't want nothing to do with the courts. Because some judges, not all, made it so that they were compromised or doing things that was unlawful. And as a result, the public, you and I, were victimized. We were definitely prostituted, if you will, in some cases, if they took money. Yeah. So a whole lot of stuff has happened that we could talk about. And the sad part about it is I'm seeing too many minority women, Black women, Spanish, etc., that are going through the problem. I don't see too many other groups. And I've heard some stories where certain people with certain backgrounds or colors or race knew that when they went in court, they were good, no matter what it was, because of the color of their skin. Don't get me started, y'all. So at the end of the day, we want to just talk about tonight about what it means to put this black robe on. And what are your experiences? Are you out there having experiences or had an experience where you thought that the law was going to protect you because it's supposed to, but it did just the opposite? That when the person put on the black robe and you felt that that was going to be a security blanket, or it was going to be done right, so to speak, and it wasn't. How did that make you feel? Did you lose faith in the system? Did you try to go into the direction to help the system help itself? Did you tell on the system? What do you do when all these kind of things are happening? And this is what we got to look at. We got to look at certain things. Yeah, I see you. You said, yes, you definitely have thought about the injustices, and you're from Georgia, 24 years old. That's very young to have had experiences. Like my godson, Ramir Satterwhite, his experiences started when he was pretty young too. I want to say 16, 17 in the court. And then it got worse over time, everybody. And eventually he just was done with it. But he tried to hang in there as long as he could. So yeah, we have Tasha, right? Tasha.
Correct.
She's on and she's going to tell us a little bit about some stuff that she's been through. And then I'm going to let some of you guys, if y'all want to chime in on tonight and just talk about some experiences you had that might have made you think this is not what I want to do, y'all. I'm going to exit. They said exit stage left. That you're just not going to deal with the court systems. You're not going to deal with any of this, and you don't have respect for it. None of it. And that's what we don't want to be like. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to be able to engage in these certain catastrophic circumstances in our community where we can fight for what's right. There's a lot of people in our families that fought to be police officers and military and all these things that go along with building the community, and that helped build the judicial system that we're talking about tonight. So we can't run from it. That's the point. We got to deal with it, and we got to make sure all the systems work. And the people who don't want it to work, we need you to leave. We want you to go. The ones who want to take bribes, go. The ones who want to lie on people and close their eyes, go. We want you to have integrity. Stand up for something. You took an oath in office. So let me stop, because y'all know how I get. I can get right up on that ramp raid and just go down that road, and y'all got to pull me back in. So Tasha's going to tell us a little bit of stuff, and then I'm going to see if anybody on the audience wants to come in and talk as well, because we got to get to a place where we run the system in a way that is effective for everybody. Blacks, whites, males, and females, rich or poor. Because right now it's not. It's only made for certain people. So Tasha, what do you want to say about the Black Robe? What's your experience? I know your story was similar to ours. It's how we got connected. What do you want everybody to know about your experience mostly?
Okay, well, first I want to start off by commenting on what you said. We can't run from them. You're most definitely right. We cannot run from them. We got to run to them, and we got to run through them.
Amen.
Because we have to pull out the bad ones.
Mm.
There are, and there is, and there still will continue to be. You said we're not abused. We are oppressed, abused, and confused, because if we keep allowing these things, they're going to keep on destroying our people. And that's all melanated beings. My story is what I'm dealing with, that I have been charged with a fraud charge. A fraudulent charge, meaning a fake charge with evidence. And I am now going around in a circle to get someone to speak out about it. It's just getting buried. I've been locked up for months. I've lost my job. I've lost my car. I've lost my house. I lost my animals, my dog, my cat, my bird.
So let's back up a little bit. So what happened? You said you were dealing with a charge, and that was the reason why that the situation happened, and or the person did this to you? Are you referring to a judge or system? What happened?
I am referring to the judge and the whole system, the whole judicial system, family court, and the whole system as a whole, the system as a whole. This is a systemic issue. This is not one individual judge, because one judge backs another judge. And one corrupt case covers the next corrupt case.
That's true.
So the superior judge will back the family court judge, knowing that they're wrong 100%. This charge was an aggravated assault charge, put on me, and which I did not do. It happened supposedly, allegedly, in the courtroom. In the courtroom. So there were 5 court officers, and each officer has a body cam, which should have been recording. I'm screaming, "Take me to trial, take me to trial." that charge went missing after I had to pay for yet again another lawyer.
Wow.
So
So let me just let people know a little bit. So Tasha has been through a systematic system where she found herself in a circumstance in the court, and a particular judge apparently interpret her whatever she wanted to interpret about her circumstances and trying to get the truth about her family and some other circumstances. And this particular judge, I think you said she had did she put you in jail or not?
yes, she did.
Right. So she did
She
put you in
did.
jail, and she put you in jail for the wrong reason. She was in jail, everybody, for 6 months, where she
Exactly.
lost 7 months. She lost everything. And this was family court in New Jersey.
Yep.
In fact, the same court me and Ramir was in. So we have other victims
Wow.
going through similar stuff. Now, I've never been arrested. They tried to do some stupid stuff with so-called illegal sanctions, which were all lies. So we do know about false stuff. We also know about that one judge will back the other judge because it's a clique there. And this is how,
it's a
yeah,
cult.
that's how they
It's
keep
a
their
cult.
self
Excuse me.
recovery.
It's a cult.
Yeah.
I don't know if
But
I can say that without being further prosecuted and threatened and whatever, but it's a cult.
Right. Right. So basically in a nutshell, she'd been through an abusive situation. And in this abusive situation, she lost her son. Her son is not, she don't know where he is right now. And then the judge himself, we want to focus on the black robe, putting on a black robe, upholding the law, looking for respect and honor from the public, you and I, because we pay taxes. That we bring our information towards or to the court, that is handled in decency and order. Just like if you get a ticket, either you did it or you didn't. If you get the ticket,
Right.
you go and pay the ticket, you do whatever. It's the same thing with going to the other courts, but there is a corruption there. There is poison there. That when something goes down and goes wrong, that yeah, other judges will cover the cover up because they don't want the one judge to go down, and it turns into a circus. Now, this is a circus with your money. So one of the things we want to talk about for the next few days is working with the judicial system in our local areas and the national area to get it right. Because some things and people need to be corrected. Now, a judge putting someone in jail for no reason for 6 months, where they lose their job, lose their home, everything, because you can get away with it. Because you think you can get away with it.
Exactly. That's the point.
Right. And that's a bad point, because it's something similar to my godson went through, not so much as the jail part, but it was about them going in a circle to go nowhere. They were playing a game, even though this court had no jurisdiction. The court had no jurisdiction over our matter, so they say, and the attorneys, but yet they were entering orders because it was a high-profile case to keep us quiet from talking about whatever we saw. Are you kidding me? So we have freedom of speech. And first of all, there was no military secret. It really was it definitely was no gag order. It was imaginary.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Can I interject? You say freedom of speech when in all reality, it's only freedom of speech what they want you to speak.
It's selective. It's called selective speech. But guess what? You're not going to put that on me. I'm going to say whatever I want to say because I have freedom of speech to do so, unless we're in some sort of gag order, and that means there's some sort of hearing coming, and we need to be quiet temporarily, and then when the hearing's over, you go back to talking. None of that happened. We never had no due process. It was never no hearing. So we had this thing where these individuals, because they felt like they could bully people, and because they put the black robe on. You put the black robe on and you thought that you were somebody. You only somebody if you follow the law. If you don't follow the law, the community, people like myself and others, we won't respect people who respect people with a black robe on who don't follow the law. Anybody can put it on. The church had black
Exactly.
they had black robes too. But what else you want to say? I don't want to do all the talking. What else you want to say tonight?
Well, I have a lot to say.
What do you think about some of the ways we could try to fix the problem by
the only
exposing?
way the only way to fix the problem is for people to speak out. You have so many people that work in different parts of the system that they're either scared to speak out or they turn their head and don't speak out because they're getting paid.
Mm,
You understand what I'm saying? And so it's only so much they can do. They're limited on what they can do when in fact they have all the evidence to stand up and back you. If they don't back the people, then it's man, I don't know. I get frustrated because this is
it's
like a really
overwhelming.
emotional situation. It is overwhelming. I even
That's
had
why
a TIA from this just recently in
that's why you want to
March
watch.
from the
Yeah.
stress. You
You want to
understand what
deal
I'm
with
saying?
like a little part of it. You don't want to deal with all of it. Deal with the two or three or no more than four top things because it's that's the whole point. It's meant to weigh you down and to wear you out. And what you do is you keep control of it by focusing on the main thing and keeping the main thing. They can keep piling on stuff, and the pile on stuff will just go under the whole drama stuff. But the
The thing that
three or
gets
four,
me, the thing that got me really frustrated, excuse me, is the fact that I focus, like you told me to focus on the three or four main things,
right?
which is holding the judge accountable for
Mm-hmm.
locking me up on a fraudulent charge. Because me as a citizen, if I call the police and I report a false charge on somebody, I'm going to be accountable for it. They're going to hold me accountable for it. So she should be equally held accountable for what she did.
Right.
And the fact of the matter that the only reason that she put the false charge on me was to cover up
Right.
the wrongdoings that the DCPMP system did by removing my son from me and not allowing me to see him, speak to him, or anything for the last 3 years
Right.
against all medical recommendations. So it's a cover up for a cover up. And then the judge in the Superior Court that helped cover up the false charge that made it go missing is another cover up. So we got to break it down. That's why I said we have to run not only to them, but through them, because we got to break the system down from within.
Right.
We have to get inside and start plucking the weeds from in the middle. We have to get people to start speaking out and stop turning your head, stop acting like you're blind to the situation when you clearly know what's going on. Because
Right.
all the documentation, all the paperwork is there, but everybody's mute. Nobody really cares because they're getting paid.
Yeah.
That's the only way to
Yeah, they're being
change it.
paid off.
And if that don't work, then I mean, if we don't do that, and it comes with like this. This is the first step. This is the first step in it. Like you and I, we have a similar situation. You're speaking about it. I'm speaking about it. We all have to stand together and back one another. There's. I'm not only. This is not. I'm not the first person this happened to. I'm the
Right.
only person, I guess, that really spoke up to the point to where she couldn't do anything else but to lock me up on a false charge and try to get me missing for 7 to 10 years. And that's because I've been locked up before. I'm gonna keep it real. I've had a background in my days. I was wild. I was fighting and carrying on and this and that because that's what I did. And it was all because I was reacting off of trauma. So she used my past to try to use it against me. And she said, oh, she did a aggravated assault. And she got away with it. Well, at least she thinks she got away with it. But she didn't get away with it because I'm still here and able to fight. And they keep on piling stuff on because they want me to react. They want
Mm-hmm.
me to react and wild out so they can say they was right
Yeah, they're
when
gonna
in
say you're
fact
an
they
angry
was
black
wrong.
woman. Yeah.
Exactly. When I had the right to be angry, because I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna make a statement. Animals protect their young. That's
Mm-hmm.
the statement. Even an animal will protect their young. So if you call me black, which I'm not, that's lies on top of lies right there. But in a black law book, if you call yourself black or you agree to being black, you're agreeing to be less than a human being. So that's why they think they can treat us as such. But anyway, that's another story.
Right.
But animals protect their young. If you go in the wild and you try to take a baby bear from its mother, she's going to fight you to the death. And that's what you're supposed to do. Your job as a mother is to educate, protect, and provide. And
Right.
they went against all my rights. They had no legal nor lawful right to remove my child from me. And they knew this. But they picked him. They
Mm.
picked the ones that they want. In 2021, they picked him. But they
It's
took us
always the
through the
black boys.
because they have an agenda. They're trying to destroy a race, like I said from the beginning, and that
Mm.
race is you and I. And as long as we sit up here and be complicit and act like we don't know what's going on, they're gonna get away with it. But not me. I'm not the one. I'm not the one, the two, or whatever they think. I'm gonna fight until my last breath is due, even if I gotta do it by myself. But I am blessed to have met you, and we can, that's what we have to do. We have to back one another.
We got
That's
a
the only way
partner.
it's going to help. That's the
Try-
only way it's going to make any difference.
Right. So for those of you coming in, this is a young lady who had a similar problem as myself and my godson Ramir Satterwhite in the same courthouse in the family court, where a judge, a white judge, a white female, she thought that she could just lock somebody up because she was trying to cover up her wrongdoings. In our case, they tried to sanction me and Ramir because they thought that we were talking too much or talking about our case and giving out documents. Well, first of all, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. And second of all, we didn't give out documents. The documents were already out there. But even if we did, it's our documents. And we know that. We were stakeholders to our own documents. Let's make that straight. And there was no gag orders.
Mm-hmm.
But in spite of all that, they still did a whole lot of disgraceful, low down, good for nothing stuff. And as a result of that, it continued to go on because all of ours was about covering up a teenage mom. Let's make it plain. My goddaughter Wanda, Ramir's mother, was a teen mom. So they were trying to cover that up. She was dark, and they felt like, oh, we're not going to do nothing for her. It's not about what you want to do, it's the law. And all we were trying
Correct.
to do is to find out what we needed to find out regarding her child. But make a long story short, she has a similar problem to us, what we call court corruption and things that happened that we know were unlawful. And as a result, in that miss, she was injured. She was damaged. And I think the biggest thing that I want to talk about also is how the actions of these people, what it led to. In Tasha's case, it led to her losing her home. She lost her job first. She lost her home
Yep.
that she had for 13 years. She
Yep.
don't know where her son is right now. And this was some things that the family court want to do behind the scenes when nobody's looking like they should be, and then sweep it under the rug. And they thought by putting her in jail for 6 months, 7 months, this is gonna make it go away. Somehow it was going to
Yep.
go away. She came out swinging when they finally got her out of there and they realized they was wrong. They knew they were wrong anyway. But when they realized they better really get her out of there, they did. And now she's looking for justice. And I'm saying this to say everybody, because there's somebody just is Tammy talk a lot. She's saying she's almost 50 now and that she went through something for 24 years in Georgia. So we know that this stuff is prevalent because it's not really location, it's about people and what people will tolerate in certain things and areas so that we got to, well, so not so that, but that when they do happen, we do something about it. In other words, everybody, it doesn't discriminate on where you are. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't discriminate. It's all about the people in the area or who they do it
Exactly.
to. Because when they do it to certain people gonna stand up, ain't gonna put up that mess. That's why ours has been going on for how long? 14 years. And
And
somebody
I'm
said, when it's
7.
over, they were trying to say it's oh, you don't know what's over because you don't know what's going on for real. And
And
certain
I've been
people,
going through this for 7 years.
7 years. So we're all in that category of dealing with covering the cover up.
Yeah.
What happens when you put on the black robes of a judge? When you put that robe on, do they transfer into or transform into a lawful person in regard to the respect and dignity that the robe and the law should bring? For some, not so much. For
Not at
some,
all.
it's been disgrace. For some, there's been people taking money and bribe. Can you imagine a judge taking a bribe? I think this is so degrading as a person. I mean, here you are in a job where you're upholding a law that's a beautiful law, a beautiful constitution. You took an oath of office, probably in front of your family, with your right hand raised and your other hand on the Bible. And now you working the work in the work. You got an opportunity to shine and be the best judge you can be and help the community, blah, 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 blah. And somewhere along the line, somebody offers you something. And it ain't putting you in a mansion. It's not making you somebody you're not. It's just a line in your pocket. And God knows what you're doing with it. But the
Yeah.
dignity and the disgrace that goes along with briberies and money, what we call dirty money, feeding your kids or paying for your car or whatever you're doing, it's a disgrace. And guess what? It's going to come back because you reap what you sow, no matter whether you're in the church or not. You sow seeds into what you're sowing seeds in, you're going to see the return. You say no deposit, no return. Whenever you put in, whether good, bad, or ugly, it will come back. So I'm saying this to say,
Absolutely.
everybody, as we look at what's really happening in our country and in our world, we have to do something about it. And when you become a victim of something, boy, that's your story. Nobody can
You
tell it like you can tell it
you
because
asked
you're
you
able
asked
now to say, yes.
yes, you asked what happens when they put on a black robe. The only thing that happens when they put on a black robe is their true selves come out because
Mm,
what they call Cassidy. A lot of our judges and court officials are already connected with a hate group, so to say, on the outside or whatever. So they put on these robes so they can get away with doing what they do legally,
mm.
and then they get paid for it too. They have, like I said, they have an agenda which was hidden, but it's not so hidden anymore because it's too many people that experience the same or similar situation and incident and screaming out about the same thing. They, and I'm going to keep on saying it, their hidden agenda is to destroy a race of people. And they're going to do it by any means and necessary, by
Mm.
any way that they can. So we have to, I don't even know if this system can be fixed because it's a systemic thing. That's why it doesn't matter of the location. It can be Georgia, Florida. It's a systemic issue and it can't be fixed. It has to be completely torn down and reconstructed
But I
from
think I
within.
had to do stuff in seasons because I don't know if it's going to work that way because it didn't get that way overnight. But I
No,
feel like
it ain't gonna be that easy. It's gonna take
now that's why I
time.
think you got to do it in seasons because
Mhm.
it's whoever is called for such a time as this for
Yeah.
the right for the right now season that we're in.
Right.
If the people that go through what they go through stand up and do something and
That's
help,
the start.
even right, if they do one or two judges or one or two whatever, one or two people, whatever it might be, it's better than zero.
Exactly. That's the infiltrate system. Just like
Mm-hmm.
they'll do to you and me when you are speaking out about them. they will infiltrate your family, your friends, and your community. So people will begin to stalk you and do different weird things and go against you with
Mm-hmm.
money. You
Right.
understand? But we got to do the infiltrate system differently. Like you said, if one or two people speak out and they take down one judge here, one judge there, that means you're getting in there and you can start breaking it down from the inside out. That's the only way it's going to be done. And it's not going to happen overnight just because of the fact that it didn't take them overnight to get to this point.
Exactly. So
So
you
it's
have to
going to
do
take
what you can
time,
do
but
in your
you got to
season.
start somewhere. You have
Yeah,
to start somewhere. And
exactly.
speaking
'Cause,
up is where you have to be.
yeah, if you don't, then it just only will just get worse from there, and that's a fact. It will. They said it'll spread, and things are rooted and grounded in fraud and filth, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And one of the things is we have to just continue to expose it the best we can when we can. And
Right.
I think that doing that and doing what we can in our community with our legislators and community things, and even bringing about new legislation and laws, which is what even with the Epstein stuff, this man had gotten away with doing
For
stuff for
years.
so long. And a lot of people got paid and a lot of people turned their heads. But
Exactly.
now the people that didn't give up, there's laws, is the Epstein Law Act and all these things where you have to whatever they got to do. But the whole point is that something happened when people did not stop. They didn't give up and they believed that what was going on obviously was a disgrace. And when you look at it now, you can't even believe it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just think it's a good thing that the people around us is mobilizing each other. So that's what we have to continue to do is uh, don't give up, mobilize ourselves individually and collectively, and link up with other organizations and stuff because there's different ways beside outside the court to get your message out.
Yeah. Yes, you definitely have to find a way to keep on pushing forward and speaking out and spreading your story, I believe, will help somebody else speak out and tell their story too. And if everybody that been through similar situations starts speaking out and standing up and doing the best that they could to change the situation instead of like that's why they like you said something about they was out of their jurisdiction and they was trying to sanction you guys for putting information out there because they thrive on making you suffer in silence.
Right. They call a seal record, but you can't seal fraud. And at the end of the
Exactly.
day, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. Nobody gonna tell me what I'm gonna talk
Exactly.
about. Unless there is a
Exactly. That's
bona
the
fide
point.
gag order, and it wasn't. Never was.
Well,
And then
they tried to say the same thing, something similar to me in my case. They was like, that's why they stopped giving me any court orders. Once they removed my son, I haven't received a court order yet.
mm,
I am not entitled to receive it. Even if I try to go up to the court and get it, they won't give it to me because the judge said that I can't. But I did get a transcript, and I have been sending letters to Trenton. I have spoke to I've reached out to the government office. I reached out to the attorney general. I reached out to the FBI, and it's like a circle. The FBI sends you to the attorney general, say you gotta call them, and then the attorney general will tell you gotta call the courts and this and that and the third, and it's back and back, and you keep running around in circles. They keep making you go through doors and through hoops just to prolong the situation so they can further bury it under paperwork and documentation.
hmm
So that's the reason of the importance of banding together and sticking together, because one single person can't do it alone, because they will drain you,
Oh
like
yeah.
financially, mentally, emotionally, and that's how they get away with it. So what I'm saying is, me sitting in a jail for 6 months, 7 months, 7 months it was, and losing everything, and still to this day, still not knowing where my son is located at, still not, honestly not knowing if he's existing or not,
Mm,
because for some reason that they keep telling me I can't see him, when all of their documentation before they took him said, don't take him from me. He was in good condition. He was educated, he was healthy, he was everything that he needed to be. But then again, I tell you, they picked him in 2021
mm,
when a judge clearly told me, if I give this, and I quote, everything like it's public record, right? Okay, you can get the transcripts. It was July of 2021, and I quote, I don't want to say the lawyer that I have, but Mano is the last name. 2021, she said, if I give this case to another judge, I might as well terminate your parental rights right now. Speaking to the opposite parent, the male parent, the supposed to be father. Well, he is the real father, but the supposed to be father, I don't consider him a father, because a father's job is the same as my job:
mm.
educate, provide, and protect. And he completely failed at that. He's here to destroy. Anyway, she said that on the record, clear as day. That was right then and there. That proved to me that this is not the first time she did this thing. And this is what I'm saying: the blatant disrespect of this judge, Delaney. I don't give a crap what she gonna do to me. The truth is the truth, and the facts are the facts. She
You know
already
what?
did everything. Like I told them, they did the worst thing that they could do to me, is by taking my son and destroying his life, because you could, because you felt as though he needed to be what you wanted him to be, instead of who he's meant to be, who he was created to be. My son was a rainbow baby. I have only two children. They are 21 years and 8 months apart.
Mm.
Before I had my son, I had two miscarriages, and they told me I can never have any more. And then he came about, and then you think you could destroy? Think I'm gonna shut up? I will never. So anything anybody want to know and ask me, I'm giving name, dates, socials if I have it. I'm giving the whole nine, Miss
Well,
Lady.
what we gonna do is you don't even have to do that. What we gonna do, because you got other ways to talk. You have documentaries. There's
I
a lot of organizations out there, plenty. It's just a matter of you getting up every day. You said
I
you have a spiritual tone to yourself,
I do. I
and
do.
then having that peace in place, because that's the key, in my opinion. Having
Yes,
that grounded and rooted,
yes,
all things will work together for good. For those who love God and are called according to his purpose. This is a fact, everybody. No
yes,
devil in hell is going to be able to take our destiny and our the plan that God has for our lives. It is a lie from the pits of hell. And the
yes,
thing
it
is,
is.
we just not need to cooperate or to illustrate or participate with the enemy the best of our ability so that we don't give him any leverage. So we do that by staying close to God in the spiritual sense, and God will direct your path. He has made us so that we are in the time and seasons in which we live to make a difference. We are not here by accident. It's by divine providence that God spoke us into existence. Hello, somebody. Don't get me started up here tonight. It's getting a little too late for this, y'all.
Yes,
But at the end of the day, you start your day and do your best and let God do the rest. There is so much
that's
out
it.
here that we can do to um, make this whole thing better. We ain't gonna get bitter, but we gonna get better. And the enemy
No,
wants us to get bitter, and he wants us to get sick and weighed down and all this stuff. That ain't gonna happen either. We're gonna have some days that ain't gonna be perfect, but for the most part, we're gonna get up, right? All of us. We're gonna get
Absolutely.
up. We're gonna get up
I
and keep
started
it moving.
creating. I started creating to get me through.
That's
On the
right.
hard days, on the days when I started to get angry and want to lash out, I started creating. I started painting. I started making jewelry. I started writing about what I've been through. Because hopefully someday my story will help somebody else get through what I've been through.
Right. Well, there's somebody online here. Her name is Tammy Talk a Lot. She said that your story has been inspiring her. She's been through some actual insurance fraud, she said, for 24 years ago. And she's in Georgia. But she said the things that you're talking about is helping her. And it seems like to me that when they do what they do in these courts and stuff, they don't always necessarily use just one group of people, one race. There's other
No.
races that out there, even in the community, because you have some black people, and in our case, we got a black person who's the biggest part of the problem, who's been trying to take down a lot of black women,
Mm-hmm.
and none of it's worked. So he's in a fight with different ones. He's losing all the battles all over. He has to pay people and pay judges and pay everybody, which all of that's coming out to do
Yeah.
stuff, even if it's a temporary thing because they need a favor. They have not been able to win cases on the merits at all. Get to the
Yeah.
merit of the truth of the story, then you get to running. Because you don't want nobody to know what you did, even though they know. So at the end of the day, I think this is a very interesting thing. I think that we have to make sure that we get our agendas together and figure out what we want to do and why. And not be afraid, don't apologize, but look to carry this out. And there are some people in high places and some people are not so high places. There's a lot of bad gatekeepers, but at the end of the day, it's a spiritual problem, in my opinion. It's not.
It's a. It
It's
is.
yeah. It's not really when you say systemic. It's systemic in the sense of the earth, but it's spiritual in the sense of the warfare, because you have
Correct.
people who would in our cases, you work for somebody that makes a whole lot of money, but you live in an apartment. And you're mad
Right.
at somebody like me for being black and having a house or two that I worked for. And you're mad at yourself because you don't have nothing. You're working for a client that got money and you going home to an apartment, which is nothing wrong with apartment. You should be glad.
Mm-hmm.
But some people want more, depending on where they live. And then you're mad at somebody like me for being a minority and having properties. That's called jealousy. And then you're a lawyer. Because why do
Correct.
they have that? Or how do they have that? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about lawyers. Because a person cannot always do this by themselves. They got to have the so-called people of the court, officers of the court,
Mm-hmm.
support what they're doing. And they're the ones
Right.
who's bringing that money, that dirty money, that dark money.
Right.
So at
Because
the end of the day,
you'll pay them to help you, and then they'll recuse themselves for irreconcilable differences.
right,
When the only difference is you trying to get justice for your child or for you, like justice should supposed to be.
right,
Yeah, you'll have to pay them, and then they'll recuse themselves.
right,
So then you stuck have to look for another one, and that's more money.
right. So, and
That's
it was wasted money there. Ain't that
that's a
crazy?
financial attack.
Yeah.
That's a financial attack. So you can't do anything. So you have to fall back and do nothing. And
So
like you
far
said, it
the
is a spiritual thing. It
right.
it, it is a evil entity that's controlling these individuals
Mm-hmm.
that make the laws that um, select the judges
Right. Which is
and that
part of
pay
the
them
thing
and
we got to
cover
be
it
a
up.
part of. We got to be a part of that selections.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But this
Hmm.
makes us you more aware of what it is. And then we got to teach, we got to go out and teach other people
Correct.
about, yeah. So what I want to encourage you and a lot of the people who are listening is to read Psalm 31 and Psalm 35 out loud and just do it as much as you can throughout the day. Some people Depending on what they're going through, they try to read it 3 times a day. Just do what you can.
Okay, let me
King
write that.
Saul,
31 and 35.
or yeah, Psalm 31 and Psalm 35. King David, a king,
Uh-huh.
knew that he had all the servants and people that he could work for him, but he still knew there was some spiritual warfares and spirits he had no control over. He had enough knowledge and wisdom to know there's another world. There is something else out there, y'all. And the something else is the devil. He real, y'all. So at the end of the day, there's another carnality of a thing that we're dealing with. And in my view, a lot of this stuff where people are trying to stay at the top or get to the top has something to do with this whole carnality stuff of witchcraft, black magic, white magic, all kinds of magics and things that they do, sorcery, which I curse and condemn in the name of Jesus. At the end of the day, it's real though, and people do it, believe it, and there is another side to all of this. But I'm saying this to say that King David knew that this was something he had to do with. He had all the money, all the servants, all the wives, but knew he had to deal with the spirit part. There was opposition coming to him and people hating on him and people getting together about him, the whole nine. So he was the one who wrote Psalm 31 and 35, dealing with his enemies, asking God to rescue him, and he believed. And that said, this particular Psalm 31, all these years ago, that he wrote, we still can use today as a weapon against the enemy. So yeah, at the end of the day, everybody, you all got to be encouraged. Cannot give up. You got to be steadfast in your convictions and what you need to do. And you got to get up each day and make a conscious decision that God is in control.
Exactly.
And that you're going to not let things and people, and not just the judges try to taunt you, the devil try to taunt you. Use the judges, but he also, when the judges ain't around, he use other people. You might even use yourself. So you need to make sure you are engaged fully into what you need to do throughout your day, every day. Is it going to be hit? You're going to hit it every time? No. So it's how you start the day. And in some places, some people do a 12 at midnight prayer if they're up. And then there's some people get up and do it. And then there's a 3 a.m. prayer, which is where warfare is. Wars, spiritual wars, or won and lost at 3 a.m. There's a 3 a.m. to 6 p. 3 a.m. to 3. There's a 3 a.m. to 3. Let me say it again. There's a 3 a.m. to a 6 a.m. The devil's a liar. That's your last watch. But your 3 a.m. is a very important watch because that's the warfare time where battles are won and lost. You better listen to me. So you do what you got to do. Just see what time you're getting up. And
I always get up at 3 a.m.
There you go.
And then you do 3 and 3:15.
That's right.
3:20 at the latest.
So then you start praying. And you're going to see a difference. In the name of Jesus, I promise you, you're going to see a difference. Do whatever time God's getting you up, just start praying around that time. Sometimes people pray when they go into the bathroom breaks. Say a short prayer. Sometimes they have a piece of paper, they say a short prayer. Just get it in, make sure that the devil hears it, and make sure you mean it. Going back to sleep if you have to. If you're up, you're up. If you're not, you're not. Right? And you're going to see a difference in the devil's work. 12 o'clock a.m. to 3 o'clock a.m. There's different time intervals. The enemy does different types of work. If you're on YouTube, look at some of these ex-Satanist people. They tell you what they used to do. Like we have prayer meetings, they have prayer meetings about the devil, about the people, they wanted to do with the devil, blah, blah, blah. So we got to just be in tune and educate ourselves about what really is going on in the spirit world. So at 3 a.m., you go and do your prayer. You pray for your health, that the enemy can't touch your health. Make sure you speak out what it is. Touch your finances. Your finances are locked, sealed, and delivered in the name of Jesus. You talk about your marriage and your relationships. You talk about your momentum, keep the momentum moving in your life. Come against the fog. Anything the enemy tried to do to distract you, weigh you down, and to show you. If you give me, I'll put my email in. If
Okay.
you need some guidance with the prayer stuff, send me a request, or you can look online. Yeah, do 3 a.m. prayer. I promise you, it is so much stuff. Some of us is late. You got people that's been knowing about this Psalm 31 and 35, which is a deliverance prayer, by the way. Deliverance both physically, mentally, and in this case, he was doing with his war, David. And you got
Right.
some people that they got the same psalm that I've been talking about. They started it 8 years ago, 12 and 14 million hits because folk reading it every day. It's a secret in the deliverance world, if you will, and also people use it in the corporate world because the devil does not want a saved person to get money to use for the kingdom. So he's always against us. But at the end of the day, God is always for us. So we're good. But we do need to use the tools to combat a lot of foolishness and things that are just not necessary. So I'm going to let you close it out, Tasha. What do you want everybody to know about your story and what you want to do with your story? Because nobody can tell it like you can tell it. What do you want
Well,
everybody to know before we come back on our next session?
what I want everybody to know is that what's going on is actually real, and as far as this, as far as them taking our children and exploiting and destroying them, and then covering up with the cover up, I want everybody to know that that's real, and even though you go through these things and you struggle, like they do everything to break you down, you can't let them win by reacting. I am in this situation because I used to, like I said, I used to react to a lot of things and lash out and fight and carrying on. However, at this last situation that they put me through, I really asked the Most High to give me a way out so I can have a fighting chance. We have to find a way to stay grounded, to stay focused, because, like you said, it is a spiritual warfare. And if we don't tap into to ourselves, go within to learn what we're supposed to be doing instead of doing what they taught us to do, they're
Mhm.
going to continue to win. I don't know how to tell you this, but I have a lot to say, and I don't want to say too much because I'm already under attack every day. As far as, like I said, I'm living in the street. I sleep in my car. I sleep in a hotel, and this was forced upon me, and this is all because I chose to speak out and tried to stand up for the rights of my child.
So if
And
anybody has information that can help her, that's in New Jersey, not to cut you off, she's in the Camden area, New Jersey. If you have any resources, if you work in social services, we need your help. We need to try to get her not just 1 or 2 nights in a hotel, her housing together. We also need someone to help with putting her story together, not everything, but the top 3 or 4 things, so that she
right,
can get
my top three or
justice.
four things is holding the judge accountable, locating my child,
Mm-hmm.
and getting him getting him the proper help so he can begin healing once again. Because before they took him, he was in trauma focused therapy. He was in behavior therapy from what he had already experienced, what they know on paper. So that's my top three goals. It's holding the judge accountable for locking me up fraudulently and destroying my life, not only my life, but my son's life, and concurrence with it, and finding the whereabouts about him, finding his whereabouts, and getting him the proper treatment and the proper help that he needs to be able to begin to heal. And then we'll work on everything else.
Yeah, because you're gonna need the housing and stuff too.
I do.
Right.
I do. But I feel as though once the judge is accountable for that, well, the housing I need right now, because I'm sleeping, like I said, in the car
Mm-hmm.
and in hotels when I could afford it or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
to say about that. I don't know.
Right.
It's
So
it's a
that's we
lot
gotta
and it's overwhelming.
right. Yeah, it is. Just even hearing it, it can be overwhelming. And then I just did a
And
question and answer. If anybody has any information that would help um Tasha um get the things she just mentioned. She just want to connect obviously with her child and get him back on track. And then she wants justice for this stuff that happened to her to go into jail for 6, 7 months for fraud,
yes, yes,
for
for
a
a
lie.
fraudulent charge, for a
A
complete
lie.
lie, a complete lie.
Yeah. As they call the big lie. And
Exactly.
yeah, so I believe me, girl, I know we didn't have so many fraudulent orders that were all based on lies, but they didn't even have jurisdiction. But you're making up stuff because you're trying to bully somebody, but it didn't work. So you keep trying and it still didn't work. And 14
Right.
years later, now you use some of that fraudulent stuff for my property. And that's why I'm
Good.
in the bankruptcy court fighting for that. But now you want to try to act like you got a fraudulent order from somewhere else that's real, but everything is really rooted in fraud. I mean,
Exactly.
where are you going? You're
And
going nowhere.
they're going in circles. They're
Yeah,
spinning
you're
their
not
wheels
going
because
nowhere because
you
nobody's
just
going to let you walk over them.
exactly. They're spinning in circles because that's the only way that they can continue
The
to
fraud.
re-victimize the victims.
Exactly. The
That's
girl said
it's a
it. She said,
perpetual.
yeah. She said that the rapist wants to sue the raped.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
that like I told them, like I told the system when I first started going through this. What y'all do is you protect the predators and re-victimize the victims over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah.
Hence as to why we have all of these problems that they want to blame on a certain group of people is because they did this or they did that. It's a lack of accountability. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they do. You protect the predators and you re-victimize the victims. That's just that over and over again because it's an organization and they all get money off of it. Because you gotta understand if the victims is going back and forth to therapy, you're getting paid. If they're going back and forth to youth detention centers, you're getting paid. And throughout their day, when they go back and forth to adult facilities, whether it be rehabs or this or that, from the trauma that you so kindly placed upon them from such a young age, because trauma creates brain damage, honestly. And then that's why we have so many people with these different addictions and man, it's all a money scheme and a plot to destroy a certain group of people. Again, they
And then
get money from every
you got some of the
damages that
same
they do.
people. Yeah, but you got some of the
Yes,
you got some of the people that's in the same race trying to that's part of it. They're doing it.
that's because they get. That's because they get. All right.
Some of
If
them are
you
getting
getting
money
paid,
and some of them are giving the money. If they
exactly.
got enough money, they
Some
paying
of them are
everybody off.
getting money. Exactly. Some of them are getting money, and some of them are giving money. The ones that's giving the money, that's because they are the predators. And
Hmm.
they want to continue to do their predatory behavior
Right.
and get away with it, so they will pay. That's why I said they infiltrate, like they'll come to your family and they'll pay certain members in your family because they know they can pay them to shut up or to pay them to help destroy you. to lie on you, to help, you know what I'm saying, to help
Right.
betray you, to help belittle you, because that person, like you said, they'll do anything to get to the top. And that's not just one group of people. There's people that look like me and you. That's what they call them, Uncle Toms too. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Don't get me started. But yes,
Yeah.
they work for them because they getting they're benefiting from it in some way.
Right.
Either they're
And
getting
and
fame,
sometimes they
fortune,
covering
and
up the
money.
story. Yeah, they
Exactly.
covering
Either
it.
they're getting fame, fortune, or money, they covering it up because they're a part of it.
Right.
And listen, it is it's deeper than what people think.
So I
It's
think
deeper
our
than what
next
people
thing
care to
we'll
know.
next time we come on, we'll talk about some solutions and organizations that we're trying to pursue to bring awareness and to put together your story. Because putting together your stuff in a 1-pager, 3-pager, or 5-pager, depending on who you're giving it to, is good to have. And you had the
I
3 or 4.
actually have I have a excuse me, I have a short story written out. It's about a 1.5 page, about 2 pages long, that tells my story in its entirety, that goes along with my paintings,
Good.
the paintings are a visual, and then I actually have a written out story, and then I have another start of a book or documentary, so to say, of everything that I've been experiencing. Not only because, like I said in the beginning, I was reacting to my own traumas that I didn't even know existed.
Right.
The only way that I come to the realization that I was reacting off my own trauma is because I was traumatized for the second time when they spun the block and came back and did it to my kid. And now
Right.
I'm older, and I'm the parent that I wish that I had when I never did.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And we're going to be staying in touch with you, as well as you going to be, I know, getting other people that's going to come to you for stuff, because we're trying to set up a, I won't say it's a hotline, but something like it, where people can call and talk about their experiences and to get the help that they need and connect with the community, because you're right there in the Camden area.
I am.
So yeah, we should be able to connect you to some places and stuff. And I'm gonna connect you to a pastor there. You go and pray about some things and just see how the Lord unfold this. For us, for me, it's a complete package. There's no one and done or nothing. It's
Exactly.
yeah, it's a
And it's
combination
not,
of
this is
things.
me speaking out is not only to help my situation and my child. This is to help everybody that ever experienced this. I did open up a company back in 2022 called Sparks Community, and our mission is changing lives one plate at a time. So if my story can help you and help somebody else too.
Yeah. So you gotta see if there's any other people in that same courthouse that you can get in contact with. Try to get some other stories if you can,
Yeah,
either with that judge or somebody else. Um,
exactly.
yeah, because one of the
And
things
it
we're
don't
gonna be
only
doing.
have to be family court, because
Right,
mine stretch from family court to um, Superior Court, because,
right,
like I said, the Superior Court judge a cover for the family court judge when she put
right,
the criminal charge on you. Who else you go to see but the Superior Court judge? And he knows the charges is non void. It has no weight, so
right,
he'll help to cover it up because he's
right.
covering her. Because once she's exposed,
Everybody's
then it's gonna
exposed.
come a whole gonna come. It's gonna expose everybody else that she had a hand on destroying
Right,
directly herself, because then
right.
it's going to spark an investigation to not only my case but the next case that was before mine, and so forth and so on.
That's actually
And
not a
her
bad
and all of
idea.
her little crew is going to be exposed, and that's the goal. That's what we want to do.
Right,
You
and that's what
understand?
that's what they're afraid of, the truth coming out. But,
Exactly. That's
but
why they
our
choose
thing is we're gonna
one
fight for the truth to come out
choice.
because we need the truth to come out.
Yep,
All
exactly.
right. Well, thank you so much, and thank all of you who stuck it out with us today on Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. We had Sister Tasha, who had an experience over in the Camden County Courthouse in New Jersey, family court, as well as Superior Court. Go back and listen to the tape in regard to losing her son and being in a court, being in the jail for 6, 7 months for fraud, for a lie. So we are thank
Exactly.
God for her coming on. We're going to try to get her some justice. We need to get her some other things because she's trying to get a stable place. She lost her job from being in this thing in the court. In the jail. She lost everything. And
Everything.
somebody has to be accountable for this. Somebody has to, and the law cannot be taking the citizens of the country down. You cannot use the law to destroy people. So we can't have that,
Exactly.
y'all. Y'all got to stand up. So we're going to be coming on to talk about this. We're going to be getting her and a few other people to tell their story. And we do have other avenues. There's several avenues we're going to use. We won't be not be looking and to use one avenue at all. So, the court is just one. And right now it ain't working. So at
Not
the
at
end of the
all.
day, yeah, we're going to use the other things, the other tools in the toolkit, because there is others. And we're going to believe that it's going to help not just us, but others around us and help the generation coming behind us, because this is nonsense. People are paying good tax money. They're working and doing what they're doing to put these people to put on a robe, to get in
Yeah.
their cars. They live in their houses. They're paying good money. So at the end of the day, I just pray that you all will be encouraged. Remember Psalms 31 and 35. Read that if you can 2 to 3 times a day. Some people who really need deliverance in certain areas read it 3 times a day, 6 a.m., 12 p.m., and then 6 p.m. That's the recommendation the pastor gave for deliverance ministry.
Thank
Of
you,
course, you
God.
get it in, get it in. But he said he had witches, ex-witches that was in his church, and they told him that when Christians read Psalm 31 and 35, it made what they were doing against the Christian collapse. So there's different secret things in the Word of God that will empower you even now, today, 2 and 3 thousand years ago, because that's what God does. When He said His word will not return to Him void, He wasn't lying. So all you gotta do is find out which word is an applicable for this situation or your situation at the moment. Now, some people read a staple type of word all the time, and then some people add supplements. I do a little bit of everything, but I keep my Psalm 31 and 35 as a foundation along. I used to do Psalms 1 years ago every day. So at the end of the day, let the Lord lead you. Be prayerful. It's not a magic pill, because it ain't no magic. Ain't no black magic and white magic. This is God. This is God's word. So you are going to make it because God predestined you to do so. And as a result of that, the enemy he can't fight that. There may be some struggles, but God will make that up to you. He said he'll make it up. But at any rate, thank you all for coming on. We want to keep this conversation going. We thank Tasha for doing the same thing. And we're going to continue to pray for her, because we know God's going to take care of her, because He didn't bring her this far to leave her now. All right, everybody. This
Absolutely
is
not.
Dr. Lillie M. Coley, and I am signing out. And I'm keeping it real with Dr. Lil. Be encouraged. Let me just look at this one more time for questions, because y'all be getting the questions when I hate to get a question when I log off. I'm just going to double check, because I don't even know how I lost my little questions on here, because I turned it from another. All right, this is what I did. I needed to go back to live chat. Just want to double check everybody. Everybody good? Be encouraged, everybody. Tammy talk a lot. Stay spiritual. All you all, thanks for being here. Judge Shady, girl. Thank you, girl, for coming in. Judge Shady. Shady Court. Thank you for all you guys continue to do in supporting of me and my godson, Ramir. We appreciate you, and we know that we're all gonna get to the finish line and onto the other side. We know
Yep.
this. Yeah, we are. And we're gonna help other people so that this can be a very therapeutic for everybody, and we can keep this going on from generation to generation. Be encouraged, everybody. This is Dr.